The Long Island Expressway, connecting New York's Long Island to New York City and points beyond. Well, maybe not quite to those points beyond, but nonetheless, this major highway has played a pivotal role in the development of Long Island, and millions of folks from New York rely on it for goods, commerce, and leisurely travel. On this video, we're going to take a look at this expressway, how it came to be, what it's like to drive, and why it didn't quite make it to that points beyond portion. Go ahead and like the video and subscribe if you love it, and let's get into it. Now you know how we do over here by now. Before we get into what it's like, let's talk about the history. I-495's construction actually predates the interstate highway system, with the first stages beginning way back in 1940. The first piece was the Queens Midtown Tunnel, which opened in November of 1940. And in the 1940s, the now infamous city planner Robert Moses proposed $800 million worth of highways throughout the New York City area. That's $13.6 billion in modern money. The first section that opened from this plan was the Queens Midtown Expressway in 1955. In eastern Queens, the Long Island Expressway was mostly built over Horace Harding Boulevard. Horace Harding Boulevard, along with Powerhouse Road, were widened to accommodate the new expressway in the middle. In 1958, the section west of the Clearview Expressway, which today is I-295, was officially designated with the I-495 shield. As for the rest of the highway out to Riverhead, the 64-mile extension was approved in 1954 by then State Governor Thomas E. Dewey. The route in Nassau County initially encountered resistance from homeowners, but was eventually completed by 1962. Suffolk County, on the other hand, did not encounter resistance to the roadway. In fact, leadership in that area wanted the highway built as quickly as possible. The Long Island Expressway was continuous from New York City to Riverhead by June of 1970, and the final segment to County Road 58 opened in June 1972. So I-495 was done in 1972. However, I'm sure you have noticed that it is signed as an auxiliary route of I-95, an even-numbered auxiliary route at that. So from what we know about the interstate highway system, that means it should probably connect back to I-95 on one or both ends. What happened there? Let's find out. First, there's the section across Manhattan and through New Jersey to reach I-95. Well, the New Jersey section was indeed built from I-95 in Secaucus all the way through the Lincoln Tunnel to Manhattan. You can see it signed today as New Jersey 495 and New York 495. But the Manhattan portion didn't quite make the cut. Building an expressway across Manhattan presented a challenging engineering obstacle, to say the least. Robert Moses was tasked with coming up with something practical and politically feasible. The first plan was to build a pair of two-lane tunnels underneath Midtown that would connect to the West Side Highway and FDR Drive. Then in 1949, Moses proposed a 6-lane elevated expressway along 30th Street that would cost nearly $500 million in modern money. However, this plan would have required the demolition of multiple high-rise buildings. Later proposals included a 10-story high expressway that would have allowed new high-value commercial real estate to be constructed above it. And the most wacky of ideas proposed was running the expressway through the Empire State Building. The 10-story elevated expressway proposal was finalized in 1963 and received the I-495 designation. Ultimately, Moses was unable to get the approval for the expressway, and New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller canceled the Midtown Manhattan Expressway along with several others in 1972. The I-495 designation was removed, and New Jersey removed and re-signed its section as New Jersey 495. Now about that east side, what happened out there? If we look at a map, the logical mind sees that a continuation of I-495 from Riverhead across the Long Island Sound could possibly be the connection back to I-95 for the interstate. Proposals to build a Long Island crossing go as far back as the 1930s, and most of them involve a continuation of I-287 to make it a complete New York City beltway rather than I-495. The proposals involving I-495 were a 24-mile bridge from Shoreham to New Haven in the 1970s, which would have involved a redesignation of the current end segment in Riverhead. The other proposal, also in the 1970s, was a 20-mile bridge from Riverhead to Guilford. This bridge would have been a direct continuation of the current I-495 terminus in Riverhead back to I-95 in Connecticut. Needless to say, politically, none of these proposals nor any Long Island crossing has passed the test to this date. So I-495 remains an interstate orphan from Riverhead to New York City. All right, now with the history understood, what is it like to actually drive on the LIE? Well, I just so happened to be in New York in the fall of 2022 and got to drive on this highway several times, including the full route from Riverhead to Manhattan with relatively light traffic. So we're going to start the journey out there and work our way to the city. Coming off this interchange with New York 25 and Riverhead, you're going to see this signage, with I-495 West being signed for New York City. So we hop on the ramp, and there's an I-495 entrance sign to let you know that you are here. The road starts with 6 lanes right off the bat, and the speed limit shows 55 miles per hour for the statewide speed limit, while the minimum speed limit is 40 miles per hour. But I would say the speed limit here is definitely a suggestion. Either everyone is going way over it, or there's so much traffic that you can't reach it anyway. In my case, it was the former, as I quickly realized that the average speed here was closer to 75 miles per hour, so I adjusted accordingly. The lack of state troopers out here seems to confirm that no one cares about the speed limit either. Maybe it's time for New York State DOT to go ahead and raise it up. Now, unlike what you'll find closer to the city, the expressway out here is full on interstate standards, wide shoulders and all. We're in Suffolk County, and Long Island is a collection of towns, townships, villages, and other various little municipalities, so New York doesn't bother showing signage for each one that you enter. Also, don't expect to see much scenery in this area, just trees. The first major interchange is with William Floyd Parkway, which can take you to Shirley to the south, or Wading River Beach to the north. It's just a standard clover leaf, but includes short frontage roads for additional local access. Traveling on this route, you're going to notice that the pavement is quite beaten down. This is par for the course for many of New York's highways. This section is where the HOV lane comes into play, and suddenly it becomes a lot more smooth. So it looks like New York recently resurfaced this section. The HOV lane on the Long Island Expressway is a pure HOV lane, meaning you cannot use it if you are a solo passenger, even if you wanted to pay. The vehicle must have 2 or more passengers, and it is enforced from 6 to 10 a.m. and from 3 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Now, there is no barrier separation, but instead the double white solid line to let you know when you are and are not allowed to enter or exit the lane. New York threatens violators with fines and or points. And knowing New York, I don't doubt that they make sure to enforce those who violate. Also, at this point, you'll begin to notice something on the sides of the roadway that might have you thinking you're in Texas rather than New York. Yep, frontage roads, all up and down the Long Island Expressway. Now, I hear they call them service roads instead, but you get the idea. So for the majority of the route through the rest of the suburbs, we'll have a 3+1 lane configuration with 3 general purpose lanes and the HOV lane on each side. At exit 48 for Old County Road, we enter Nassau County, the county next to the city. County seat, Mineola, largest city, Hampstead. Nassau County has the second highest population of any county in New York outside of New York City. In Nassau, the scenery is mostly the same and the configuration remains the same. However, you will start to notice that traffic is picking up. We're still driving through suburbia, but from the roadway you can only see trees and the occasional sound barrier walls. At exit 33, right before entering the city, the HOV lane ends and we briefly get 4 general purpose lanes. And then you see the Welcome to Queens sign that lets you know you have officially entered into the city. And with that, we lose our 4th lane at the first interchange, which is with the Cross Island Parkway. For those of you unfamiliar with New York, it has a network of controlled access highways known as parkways. These differ from expressways as they are usually more narrow, have smaller or no shoulders, and do not allow for trucks or large buses to use. The lack of shoulders make them truly devastating for traffic flow, as crashes usually block lanes with nowhere for disabled vehicles to move off the roadway. These parkways also have some of the worst traffic in New York, so maybe they should rename them to parking lots. Cross Island Parking Lot. Yes, that has a nice ring to it. Now, the Cross Island Parkway can take you north to the Whitestone Bridge or south to the Belt Parkway. In Queens, you'll notice that the shoulders have gotten much smaller and the traffic is a lot heavier. During most days, the Long Island Expressway is jammed up all through here. You're now driving through some of the most densely populated territory on the interstate highway system. New York does have a couple of parkways that run east-west in this area, but Interstate 495 is the only expressway for the area. At I-678, also known as the Van Wyck Expressway, access is provided to both New York City airports, LaGuardia, and JFK. Surprisingly, New York was able to squeeze properly designed interchanges with I-678 and I-295 in Queens. Now, the infrastructure looks a bit dated compared to other states, but hey, at least they got it built. Continuing towards Manhattan, you'll start to see several high-rises along the interstate. The service roads are still present for access, but it is known as the Horace Harding Expressway in this area, which is a road that the Long Island Expressway replaced. Our last major interchange before Manhattan is the infamous BQE, or Brooklyn Queens Expressway. This expressway will take you to Astoria, the Bronx, or Brooklyn. And as I advised on a previous video, enter at your own risk. Whatever city you're from and thought you've experienced traffic, you haven't seen anything until you spent an afternoon on the BQE. It is congested even on holidays. Next up is the biggest treat of all, a stunning view of the Manhattan skyline. I mean, this might be one of the best views on the entire interstate highway system. New York truly does sit alone at the top. I mean, there's a reason why it is in the image for my channel banner. I need to make it back up there one day to see this view at night. At the Queens Midtown Tunnel entrance, we merge into 2 lanes while trucks must use the 3rd lane and be checked before entering. The tolling is all electronic and you will be billed by E-ZPass or by mail if you don't have one. And you can be sure that New York will come to collect. It's always fun to go into a tunnel. Upon exiting into Midtown Manhattan, you'll see signage for Crosstown, Downtown, and Uptown. The downtown exit for 34th and 35th is the one that continues the I-495 designation, and you can drive across Midtown on 34th or 35th to reach New York 495, which takes you into the Lincoln Tunnel to connect to New Jersey 495 and back to the parent Interstate 95 in Secaucus if you want to feel what it would have been like if I-495 was completed. And all right, folks, that's it, the Long Island Expressway. Let me know what you think of this road in the comments. Have you been on it before? How was your experience? Are you glad that it exists? Or did you like Long Island better before? Do you want to see New York build a Long Island Sound crossing? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one.